Round 20 was a good one, with huge scores all over the place, and luckily I was on the receiving end of a lot of that. In the end, I scored a 2,450, which I thought was better than it was with a 5,000 round rank, which is still good, and bumped me back up 400 ranks to where I was before the whole Nick Martin captaincy incident. So let's go through my team. It began with Nasiah Wanganeen Malera, who had one of the greatest games of all time. I hope of all you got to witness this game, and I'm sorry for anyone who missed it. I chucked it on for the last quarter just because, and oh my, it was ridiculous as the Saints mounted the greatest comeback of all time, largely due to this man. He was going well at halftime, but it wasn't anything huge. Then, in the second half, he racked up 21 touches, 4 marks, 2 tackles, and 3 goals, which totaled 94 points. And about 30 of that came in the last minute as he kicked not one, but 2 winning goals. Simply outrageous. Then Lockie Ash had his first disappointing score in a long time, with 65. He had 13 disposals, which is by far his season low, and he was still involved with the kickouts. He just struggled to get involved in the chip marking behind the ball, especially with the Giants' very direct approach in the second half. He's been great for me over a long time, but this was slightly frustrating. Josh Dacos did well against Richmond, scoring 103, and while I probably hoped for more given the matchup, he did very well late to get this good score as he got involved in plenty of cheap chip marks. 30 touches and 6 marks is certainly not something you can complain about. Lockie Whitfield was good for me on debut with 109 against Sydney. He could have easily copped the Jordan tag, which I didn't even think about, but fortunately, he went to Callahan, who had a very game. Like Ash, at times Whitfield struggled to get involved and wasn't as prolific as usual with 27 touches and 8 marks, and yet he still nearly put up 110, which is awesome. Bailey Dale was extremely poor again, not cracking 70, this time with 69 points. And I thought he was back last week, but clearly not. He's lost heaps of coin, and I feel he's going to have to go now, because last 6 weeks or so, have just been not good enough. I could have kept Tom McCarthy instead, who's been scoring better. On the bench, I had Angus Hastie score 47, so there's a chance he makes enough coin to be traded for an upgrade in one of the final rounds. Now to my midfield, and as you can see, there were 2 big scores to kick it off. First was Nick Dacos, who took full advantage of the easy Richmond matchup and the lack of a tag. He had at least 10 touches and a goal in each of the first 3 quarters before missing a relatively simple shot in the final term. He finished up with 42 touches and 3 goals, which isn't a bad day at the office really. And he only took 4 marks and didn't lay a single tackle. So if you imagine he got his average amount, and this easily could have been over 160 like last week. Then we had Marcus Bontempelli, who also scored 146, thanks to 35 touches, 10 marks and a couple of goals, against a struggling Essendon. He's a genuine gun, and since that 50 he's been averaging over 120, with 4 out of 6 games being over that 120 mark. Along with Dacos and the Wang, Bont has a very good case to being the best player in the game right now, as he continues to prove it with games like these. Brayshaw wasn't as good, scoring 82. He had just 3 disposals less than Bontempelli with 32, yet he scored 64 points less. In recent weeks, he's laid a huge amount of tackles, but this week he had just 2, and only 1 marks. He also made sure to give away 3 frees, which sucks, although he was also given 3. That makes it only one of his last 5 weeks where he's turned up, and that's quite concerning. Connor Rozee scored just 95 in the showdown, but honestly, that's pretty good considering the conditions. He only had 22 touches, but made sure to lay 7 touches in the wet, which got him over the line. He also played his equal highest time on ground, with 95%, which is very good. Harry Sheezel had another good game against Geelong, scoring 111 in a high half-forward role, despite the Roos getting absolutely smashed. That's 3 really good scores in a row from Sheezel, and before he dropped a few stinkers, he was also good, so I don't think we need to worry too much about his role, because he's playing good footy. Then Caleb Sarong disappointed even more than Brayshaw with just 71 points. It is important to remember that despite the Eagles being an awful team, they aren't that easy to score against. But they certainly aren't that hard either, and these scores aren't what we want at all. I thought Sarong was back in a big way after last week, and he still might be, but scores like this are very costly at this point in the season. Jack Sinclair was brilliant for St Kilda, scoring 125, and as I predicted, with the wang up the ground more, he made the halfback his own. 32 touches, 7 marks and 5 tackles is a really good stat line, and this score made the end to the round very enjoyable. He had a bad patch there for a bit, but this makes it 3 good scores in a row, which is great. Adam Chera had another poor game as he scored 85, which makes it 5 games in a row without a ton at an average of 80, which is extremely concerning. His time on ground was down, but it was still no excuse, as all of his other figures were not good enough. He was priced over $1 million, and now it's under 900,000, which means that even if I do a straight swap, I will struggle to find a decent replacement. In the ruck line, Brodie Grundy was my vice-captain, and I took his score of 130. He was great throughout the game, putting up 4 strong quarters of footy. His hitouts were down from recent matches as he had just 29. However, 22 touches, 7 marks and 5 tackles was great for him. He's the perfect safe captain option, and I'm so glad I got him in. His last 11 matches have all been over 110 and 8 of his last 9 over 120. An incredible run of form. Rowan Marshall wasn't as great, scoring 88 in a tricky matchup against Max Gawn. He only had the 15 touches and a few marks and tackles, although he managed 30 hitouts. I was considering looking to trade Marshall to Gawn, but Marshall had an incredible run over the next few weeks, so I might just hold off from doing such a thing. Finally, in the forward line, Bailey Smith bounced back with a big statement, racking up 43 disposals and a goal to register 132 fantasy points, which is much more like it compared to the last few weeks. He might be a captain option again now because I was very concerned with what I was seeing from him before this. Jack McRae was okay for a 94. Nothing hugely exciting, but it's not the worst either. His time on ground was quite low once again, which is not something I want to see at all. It was the second quarter that cost him, as he spent a long time on the bench to register 10 points for the term. Christian Petracca was again bad with 84 points in the same game. He had been doing all right at halftime on 49 points, but then completely disappeared in the second half, much like the rest of Melbourne. He's averaging 86 in his last 5 and has gotten very cheap now, which is annoying. Chad Warner was back to being rubbish with just 70. It was against the Giants, who we know are a very challenging matchup, but this is just not good enough. He had only 19 touches, although 5 tackles was good. He has evened out that ton from last week and is averaging under 90 in his last 5. Then, who said don't pick key forwards? Because I had 2 of them and they scored a combined 277 points, which is ridiculous, particularly when they were priced in the 70s not long ago. First, Sam Darcy was huge against the Bombers as he booted 6 goals to score 117. 16 touches and 8 marks also helped, making it Darcy's highest score since round 4 and his first ton in 5 weeks, which is very good. Then we had Jeremy Cameron, who I got in last week as a bit of a hopeful and what I thought was likely a silly move. But he came out against North on a mission slotting 11 goals, which is the most since 2014. He kicked 3 goals in the first quarter, then 2, 4 and 2 again. This insane feat allowed him to score a ridiculous and completely unexpected 157, which was just awesome. So there we have it. It was a really good round thanks to me owning a lot of the guys who went really big, especially Cameron and Darcy, who are on the more unique side of things. I did have plenty of premiums fail though, with Dale, Ash, Sarong, Warner, Petracca, Brayshaw and Chera all significantly underperforming. However, thanks to those ceiling scores, I was still able to get my rank moving in the right direction. Looking at my trades, they were pretty straightforward. Whitfield came in and did well. I maybe could have gone a bit better getting in like Holmes or Dunkley, or actually Lachie Neale, who I was looking at. But on the flip side, I was also very keen on Jack Steele, and for whatever reason, he was very poor. So I'm lucky I avoided that. My +3 has got to be Jeremy Cameron, because had the potential to drop a 50 and instead went 100 points better. He is an absolute gun and genuinely couldn't have done a single bit better. But I would also like to say that 4 scores over 145 is fantastic, and I was getting flashbacks to that round last year or the year before, where he had like 5 people score over 160, and I had one of the biggest rounds. The -3 belongs to Dale, because he got my hopes up last week and then scored his third score under 70 in 4 weeks. I won't look at the rankings today, but have a look at our Open League yourself, because there has been a lot of movement. Currently, I'm looking to bring in Matt Kennedy and a red dot by trading out Harry Rowston and Bailey Dale, although it could easily be Petrarca or Adam Chera too. As always, I'll be back on Thursday.